AutoPlay Media Studio contains a variety of string functions which allow you to manipulate strings in some different ways. We're just going to take a few here and take a look at them. As always, it's up to you to go through them one by one and find out what they all do. Okay, so basically let's set up a string here. Let's say name equals Alexander, and let's say city equals how about Toronto, Canada. Okay, so we've got some strings set up here, and now we can go about manipulating them. One common way of manipulating strings programmatically is to concatenate them, and that means to attach them. In this case, we've got a name and a city, so perhaps if we could attach those two together. So let's go ahead and try out a string concatenate function. So we're going to right click, and we're going to select Add Action from the menu, and we're going to choose String Concat, it says, but that's actually short for concatenate, and then we're going to choose Next. Now, in this resulting dialog box here, it gives us some options to choose our start string, our end string, and our result string. So in this case, our start string is going to be our name. Our end string, of course, is going to be our city. But additionally here, we want to go ahead and concatenate with something in between. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our concatenation operator on the name line here, and we're going to use 2 dots to symbolize that. So 2 dots is your concatenation operator, and we're going to type that and then a couple of quotation marks, and in between the quotation marks we can type anything we want, and that will be attached between name and city. So let's go ahead and type in here is from space, and our resulting string is going to be stored in this result variable. So in other words, it's going to take our name variable, it's going to attach it to the string is from, and then it's going to attach that to the variable city, and it's going to store it in a variable named result. So let's go ahead and press finish, and then just to test this, we're going to set up our dialog message as always. Okay, and I'm going to go back in here. I'm just going to leave the title blank, and we'll go ahead and display the value of our result variable. So I'm going to press F5 to preview this. And as you can see, it worked like we planned. It concatenated the strings together in the exact way that we asked it to. So in other words, it took our name, it put the string that we typed in there, is from, after the name, and then it attached the location to the end of that. So I'm going to press OK, and then exit from the preview screen, and come back and just review this real quick. So we have a name and we have a city. And what we did was we concatenated them together, and while we were concatenating them, we actually inserted an additional string here, is from, that we concatenated onto the end of the first variable, name. Okay? So that's one manipulation of strings. That's a string concatenate action. Let's take a look at another one. I'm going to go ahead and leave the dialog message action in there, but I'm going to get rid of this string concatenate action. So let's go ahead and try a string find function. So we're going to right click and select Add Action, and then we're going to select from the string category String Find. Then we're going to press Next. And basically what this action does is it looks for a string inside of another string, and then it returns a numerical value to tell you the first position of where it found the first instance of that search string. And it's also going to return a -1 if it couldn't find it. So for example, if we set up our search string here as being our city, and then we search for the pattern Toronto, and we will select start at character 1, and we're going to leave it on case sensitive false, although obviously here you can set it to true if you would like your search to be case sensitive. And we're going to leave the default name for the variable here of result. Okay, so it's going to search inside the city variable for the string Toronto, and then it's going to tell us where it is if it can find it. So let's press finish, and then we'll go ahead and preview this by pressing F5, and we should see a 1. And there it is, because in our city string the word Toronto is the first one. So let's press OK, and we're going to close this window again. Now in our city string, if we inserted a couple characters prior to the Toronto, for example, let's say if we had a little heading in here, city with a colon. Now if we run this again, you'll notice that the number now changes to 7 because we've inserted 6 characters before the word Toronto. So it's basically finding the location of the word Toronto. Now let's try searching for a string that we know is not in our city variable. Here I'm just going to go ahead and return this to the original value and see what happens then. So I'm going to double click on that action to bring back up the properties dialog, and I'm going to go ahead and search for a different city name, in this case New York, and I'm going to press OK. Now when I press F5 to preview, we should see a -1 because we know that the word New York was not in our city string. And there you go. So if it doesn't find any instances of your pattern string within your search string, it's going to give you a -1. Okay, so that's the string find action. I'm sure if you play around with that a little bit, you can work out the finer points fairly quickly. So let's go ahead and remove that action, and we'll look at one final string action here. How about a string upper? Okay, so in this case here, we've got our name and our city variable, and we've got our test display. What we're going to do is we're going to use a string upper action to change these letters to uppercase. So we're going to right click, select add action, and from the string category I'm going to scroll down and choose the string upper function. Okay, and press next. Basically what it's looking for here is the name of a string or a string. In this case we're going to give it the name of a string, so the variable named name, and it will change that to all uppercase letters and then store the result in a variable named result. So I'm going to press finish, and then I'm going to press F5 to preview. And as you can see, it's taken the string that we've typed in, Alexander, and it's converted it to all uppercase characters and displayed it in our dialog. So that's a brief overview of string functions and how you can work with them. As you can see, they're really quick and easy to work with, extremely powerful, and you can apply them to a variety of scenarios. These are ideal for dynamic applications, for example, that interact with databases or one of the various SQLite plugins or something like that for the product. And basically, the sky's the limit with string manipulation. You can combine these actions in a variety of ways to create quite advanced functionality. So I encourage everybody to go through them one by one and experiment a little bit.